I've been watching ZHC's videos for a few years now, since before he really started to blow up and switched his channel content to just customizing stuff. All you OG Artist Army members out there will know that he used to do some pretty cool art challenges and tutorials and vlogs. He would stay on the daily grind. Drawing every single day, and he was a pretty big inspiration to me. In 2017, he started a series in which he would draw all the Justice League characters in the same pose with tattered and damaged suits. He drew the Flash in February, Superman in April, and started but never completely finished a Green Lantern drawing. In 2019, he made a video called Flipping Through All My Sketchbooks, in which he showed the 3 drawings and states,
I also wanted to do Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, those guys, but yeah, just never really got the chance to.
Ever since I first watched that video years ago, I wanted to finish the series, but I did not have the art prowess at the time to do it justice, and I was still hoping that he would continue it himself. Considering that this is the 3rd year since he even mentioned the drawings, I think we can rule out him finishing the series, and after years of hard work, I think I've finally reached a level where I can do this series justice. Get it? Justice League justice. So welcome to finishing ZHC's art series.
Part 1, Batman.
Stage 1 was the sketch. This is the most important part of the drawing process, since without a good sketch with precise placement and accurate proportions, there's no way I can make this look legit. This is also the stage I hate the most, since it takes so much focus and time. But since I wanted to imitate ZHC's style and pose as accurately as possible, I took a good 3 hours just sketching. By the way, the pencil that I'm using to make this sketch, and that I've been using for years, I first learned about from ZHC in this video. He learned the idea of using this type of pencil wrapped in tape from David Finch, who I believe was the first person to come up with it. Don't quote me on that though. Anyways, I'm getting bored of sketching, so let's move on. I was super happy when I finished the sketch because with stage 2, which is the line art stage, you basically just have to go over your sketch lines. It's quite satisfying since you can really start to see the drawing take shape with the final lines being put in and with the black shadows that I also added in the stage. It's interesting, the further down the drawing process you go, the more relaxing and less stressful it is. This stage requires a lot less focus than sketching, and coloring lets you zone out even more. Of course, that's not to say that this stage isn't vital to the outcome of the artwork though. It's also quite time consuming, especially when you start getting into the cross-hatching. ZHC's art style has a lot of cross-hatching in it because it's a comic art style. In fact, ZHC is actually an acronym for Zach Shea Comic Art. I really enjoy cross-hatching though, as you can see in lots of my other artworks, especially during Inktober, so I don't mind the amount of time it takes to do. Just seeing the effect and the amount of detail that it adds to a piece, I always think that it's worth doing if it works with the style you're going for. Okay, enough rambling about cross-hatching. It's time to move on to the final stage and start finishing up this artwork. Stage 3 was the coloring stage. I'd say that this part of the drawing process is pretty fun, and it definitely makes the artwork a lot more eye-catching. Normally, for an artwork like this, I'd bring in some more detail by adding a layer of color pencils. But since ZHC only used Copic markers for the 3 drawings that he did, I decided to do the same to keep it looking as close to the rest of the series as possible. One thing to remember when coloring is the importance of layers when it comes to achieving the result that you want. You start with a base layer of color to get a feel of what you're going towards, then you just keep adding more and more layers, even if that means that none of your base layer is even visible in the final piece. It's kind of like the opposite of that quote by Michelangelo that says, "The sculpture is already complete within the marble block before I start my work. It is already there, I just have to chisel away the superfluous material." So I guess the opposite of that in this case would be something along the lines of, "The artwork is not complete on the paper before I start my work. It is already in my mind, I just have to keep adding the requisite Copic ink," or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so maybe it made more sense in my head. Regardless, the point is that you want to keep adding layers of color until you achieve a result that you're super happy about. And speaking of which, something that I would be super happy about is if you hit the like button, because I want to see if we can get ZHC to notice this or another artwork in this series, either here on YouTube, on Instagram, or on TikTok. Worst case scenario, it's a flop. Best case scenario, ZHC sees the art, thinks it's amazing, shouts me out, and sends me his original 3 artworks, and I'm able to complete the entire collection. I think that would be super awesome, and I have faith that we can do it. But in order for my plan to work, two things have to happen. One, you guys have to show this series lots of love on all platforms. And two, the final result has to look amazing. So let's check it out.
Dude, that actually looks so cool. Look at that.